My name is ALIREZA FADAIE, and I'm a Nolimitspreneur.
You're now locked onto another episode of the Nolimitspreneur Podcast, the show that helps you dominate in life and in business to enhance your mindset, confidence, productivity, time management, habits, and goals. And now, your host, Maher Abiad.
What is up, Success Nation? It's your boy Maher Abiad here, back with you again for another incredible episode. Welcome to the Nolimitspreneur Podcast. So happy that you're here with me today. I am so excited to have as my guest ALIREZA FADAIE. He's a personal finance and insurance expert, and today we're going to be talking about money, personal finance, cash, debt, and a lot of the stuff that is very, very important during this time of coronavirus to be able to help you with getting through these times. It's a very, very difficult time, and I definitely wanted to bring ALIREZA on so he could share his knowledge, share his experience, and let us know exactly what we can do to ensure that when we get out of this situation, we'll be a lot better than when we got into it. So without further ado, let's jump into the podcast episode interview right now. ALIREZA FADAIE, thank you so much for joining me on the Nolimitspreneur Podcast. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Maher. I've been following your great work for quite a while, and I'm so glad I got this opportunity today.
Well, I really appreciate that. Obviously, we're in unprecedented times right now, and you come from a personal finance, insurance background. So I definitely want to, have yourself share with the audience today about how we can sort of get through these tough times. I'm sure, you've been affected, I've been affected, we've all been sort of affected. So I really appreciate you coming on so we can sort of help as many people as possible try to get through these times, both financially and obviously mentally as well, because it's definitely a mental drain, it's a physical drain, and people just don't know what's going on because there's a lot of uncertainty. So before we get started on diving into some details, let's actually get to know a little bit more about yourself. Can we find out more about, give us your story on how you sort of got started in this industry? I know you obviously are working for yourself. How did you stumble into this? What was your aha moment that made you say, I want to work for myself, I want to get into this type of profession, and a little bit of background of where you came from to where you are now?
Certainly. So I moved to Canada in December of 2003, and my very first job in Canada was a security guard, actually. And I had a civil engineering degree from my home country, Iran, which I knew I would never use. So I moved here, and my very first job was a security guard, and I got some shifts at a branch of RBC Royal Bank. And one of the trainers there actually referred me, he started talking to me, and I was interacting with this staff really well. And, he referred me to become a teller, start working as a teller. So I started working as a teller, and, at the same time, I enrolled in a very good program from Simon Fraser University, which the program is called Graduate Diploma in Business Administration, and some people call it mini MBA, which at that time I was, thinking about basically going for my MBA, and I could transfer the credits and all that, which, I went through a different route. But I finished my, studies for the Graduate Diploma in Business Administration. And at the same time, I worked as a teller for 15 months at Royal Bank. And I was looking for a permanent position, which, a position of personal banker happened at Bank of Montreal. So I went there. I was there for a couple of years. And then went to, I worked with a credit union, which I'm just not going to name for a reason. And, the whole experience, I was like, being an employee is just not for me. And I'm saying this with all the respect in the world for people who are working for a certain company. It just wasn't for me. It was not satisfying for whatever reason for me. And so I was like, okay, what am I going to do? So I went to the company which a lot of people have heard of, called Investors Group. So it was kind of an entrepreneurial model there, 100% commission. And I went there, I was like, okay, you know what? It's not like, I'm making six figure at the bank now. So I can make pretty much, the same thing at Investors Group. Like, I know a few people and all that. So I started working with Investors Group, and it was right before the market crash of 2008. So being on 100% commission and, going through the biggest economic downturn of our time, it was really, really challenging, man. And it was a very, very humbling, experience, because for quite a while, actually, I didn't even, make as much as I was, making at the bank. So, I really hustled, man, cold calling, door knocking, and it's just not, these stuff are, pretty comfortable to do for some people. For me, is way out of my comfort zone. But it always, came back to the point that I was like, okay, so I don't want to be an employee. And if I want to have my own practice, this is what it takes. And there is absolutely no way. I never gave myself that option to go back to the bank. So I hustled for a long time, man. And I planted a lot of seeds. And I went to Chamber of Commerce meetings and business networking meetings and meetups and doing cold calling and, approaching friends and families and all that. And it took quite a while, actually, for my business to turn around. Planting all those seeds is gonna basically pay off one day. So, and I became a field trainer at Investors Group as well. I wanted to become a division director, which, it never happened. So I was with Investors Group for 9 years, and for various reasons, I totally appreciate and respect. It's like a franchise, a company. They have, basically, if you're a franchisee, there are things that you got to do their way, right? And there were things that I wanted to pursue, like I had written a book, and I wanted to do an online course, and I wanted to do more and more of coaching. And many of my clients asked me if I do general insurance as well, which I couldn't have the license at Investors Group. And various reasons, and I being very upfront, compensation was a huge part of it too. So back in 2017, I became fully independent on my own, which was an easier process because I was on 100% commission for many, many years. So it was a lot of hustling, man. It was a lot of hustling. I don't know how many times, I was like, okay, can I do this? Is it gonna work? Is it worth it? Right? So there was, and here's the thing, that's what many people don't want to hear. It's not easy, man. Doing any business is not easy. It takes a lot of hard work. And to be completely honest with you, I don't know how I kept myself motivated for so long. Because most people, who started it with me, or, around the time that I started, they're gone, long gone. They're doing, something else. But I'm glad I stuck to it. Back in Investors Group in 2012, 2014, I was I was the number one person in the Greater Vancouver North region for insurance sales. And I'm just doing more and more of comprehensive financial planning and coaching these days. That's what I really like to focus on, because there is enough talk and focus about products out there. I don't see much of coaching and planning and getting people from plan A to plan B. Is mostly focused on buy this investment or buy that insurance, and it's going to solve all of the problems in the world for you. So yeah, that's my story, my friend.
That's actually quite a fascinating story. I mean,
Thank you.
It's sort of like the feeling that I have with the entrepreneurial spirit. I definitely feel like I have a lot to give. That's why I really started the Nolimitspreneur sort of brand and my website and my coaching and my YouTube. I felt that over the years when I had my marketing studio, making websites and whatnot, after a while I felt like this is not really for me. And when I started looking at myself and working on myself, that's when I found out that I was the one holding myself back, and personal development was the key for me to achieve the success that I wasn't seeing. So, I had my own transformation as well. And I mean, I know with you were saying, you talked about door knocking and whatnot. Yeah. Let's talk about some of the, things that you may have struggled with, with the confidence with that, because with sales, like you said, it's not easy. And how did you deal with sort of breaking through the fears on one side, to be able to do that, something that you said you weren't comfortable with? So how did you get the confidence to do that? And at the other end, how did you deal with the rejection? Because rejection in life happens. It's key to be able to move on. And that's what I want to, help people with is letting them know that failure is okay. Failure is something that we all need to do. I failed more times than I can remember, but that's actually given me the platform and the ability to keep going on and to see the wins. So let us know about sort of how you battled that confidence at the beginning and sort of dealing with the rejection. People not listening to you because you were new and nobody knew about you or what you were doing.
Absolutely. And man, it's every no. And it really depends on, how you deal with it, to be honest, because there are different personalities, man. Some people can't care less, and there was a book in a training called, if I remember correctly, Sales Call Reluctance. Managing Sales Call Reluctance. I don't remember the exact book and the training, but that was really eye-opening for me, to be quite honest, because you're absolutely right, man. There are so many no's you can take. It's true. It's absolutely true. And a lot of people, starting, in this business or many other business, getting a lot of business from families and friends. So they make some money and, it gives them some confidence. I got nothing, man. Like, from my warm market, I got almost nothing, So I hit the wall, like, right away. But the only thing, kept me going, Maher, was, I would say, like, I just didn't give myself an option to go back to the bank, to be quite honest with you, And I should tell you as well, like, my wife was supportive. So she really wanted me to do, what I wanted to do. And to be quite honest with you, like, at that time, I didn't have any child, and I kept my, my lifestyle, like, very basic. So we had, like, very humble lifestyle, which, I'm so grateful, like, my wife didn't mind that. So it all helped. But man, it was blow to ego, like, every single day, and again, and to completely honest with you, as I said, like, sometimes I don't know how I kept myself motivated. And I'm so glad it paid off, because every little win was like, okay. And I surrounded myself with, talking to people. And to be quite honest with you, that's one good thing about, working in a company, that you see people around you are struggling too. Like, it's not only you, like, there's not something wrong with you necessarily, right? But I think, one thing, if I go back, if I think one thing that I had a lot of self-doubt, I should tell you. Otherwise, I would have, way more confidence approaching people. And to be quite honest with you, I think for a long time I was at wrong places. Like, I was talking to other, starting, business owners who they didn't have anything either, right? So definitely I made a lot of mistakes, but you know what? When I'm looking back, that's what I'm proud of, that because, I started in the worst possible time to start being in an entrepreneurial model in the financial industry, and I survived it, so there is not much, that I haven't seen, to be honest. That's how I look at it. And, talking about this crisis, I tell you this, Mara, and by absolutely no means did I see this coming, like, a virus and, people being forced to stay home. Absolutely not. Did I see, like, as part of the business cycles, things were going for so good for so long? Like, I have a lot of small business, owner clients who, they talk to me. They were like, man, it's really hard to hire people and, keep them, because the job market is so hot, especially in entry-level jobs, that, people just they don't even bother to let you know they're coming to work anymore. They just go across the street and get another job. Like, people forget so quickly. Things were so good for so long. And it's just part of the, economy and the business cycles that, I could see things slowing down, but man, I never saw this coming. Absolutely not. So things that people who interview me, the questions that they ask is, okay, what can people do? And you know what? We need to learn lessons from this crisis, which hopefully, we are in BC. Apparently things are, slowly going to get a little bit more normal, at least. I hope people learn lessons from this, Mark, because for so long, we had a whole generation, man, who, for whatever reason, they don't remember that much from 2008, 2009 because of their age, or they were students, or they were not necessarily impacted financially. So 2008, 2009 is 11, 12 years ago, right? So we have had this whole generation who haven't seen any big economic downturn or recession in a way. And man, they've been seeing these mortgage rates of around 3% or lower than 3%. So they're just used to it, right? And they're like, okay, so money is cheap, I'm just going to keep borrowing. People maxing out their homeowner line of credit, right? So if people can take anything from these crises, you know what? Let's go back to basics. When things are going well, it's really easy to spend money without even thinking about, I got money, I can afford that. We can go here, we can do that, right? You would be amazed, and that's one of the first thing is my white belt in my book and in my online course, knowing where the money goes. As simple as it sounds, you would be amazed how many people have no idea how much they make. And you talk to people all the time, you get the, let's call it the income statement or cash flow statement. Okay, so you're saying that your take home is this much, which is obviously easier for people who are employees because they get a paycheck every 2 weeks and they got a net income that they can easily look at in their bank statement. Oh, okay, so tell me about your expenses. Most people remember the big, major, frequent expenses like, mortgage and rent and car payment and all that stuff. And I'm like, okay, so we add all of them up. And you're telling me every month you got $1,000 or $2,000 surplus. Now I'll look at your balance sheet. So if you got $1,000, $2,000 surplus every single month, by the end of the year, you should have $12,000 to $24,000 saving. Not only you don't have any savings, you have credit card debt. How does that work? Right? As simple as it sounds, Maher. Right? Here's the thing. People don't have budget for discretionary expenses. And that's what really ruins every financial plan that you can think of. Right? Because at the end of the day, whatever goals you have, hey, you want to buy your first place, or you want to buy a bigger place, or you want to retire, or you want to pay off debt, you need savings and you need surplus, right? And without knowing where the money goes, none of that is going to work, right? So things that not like you, like everybody knows, okay, you're supposed to have emergency funds, 3 to 6 months of monthly expenses. Okay, so if people have emergency funds, then why do they have debt? We've been in this, crisis, Maher, for like 2 months, right? And people are just, people's finances is just falling apart, right? If you got 3 to 6 months of monthly expenses, why would you be like broke, right? So I always make this example, Maher. Everybody knows that in order to, lose weight, you have to have, balanced diet, eat healthy, eat less calories, right? And exercise more. Anything else is some kind of shortcut or scam. Then why don't people do it? Simple as that. It's just like knowing, as Bruce Lee says, knowing is not enough. We need to take action. And what I really like to achieve with my clients and, on people who take my online course or read my book is taking small steps. If somebody comes to you, like it's common sense, man. Like somebody who has never been active, like, physically active in their life, they eat junk food pretty much every day, right? And all of a sudden they come to you and you tell them, hey, you shouldn't eat this, you shouldn't eat that, you should only eat, fruits and vegetables, and you got to exercise 6 times a week. Most probably is not going to happen, right? But if you tell them, hey, I don't know, whatever, however you want to look at it, as simple as it, hey, you have, I don't know, 1 pita bread for breakfast. Okay, now you're going to have a quarter less of a pita bread every day, or you're going to have this much less, just tiny bit less rice or whatever you call it. Or you know what? You have ice cream every day. You know what? Cut 1 ice cream once a week. Like, these simple, tiny steps. Okay, you're going to start exercising once a week. You're going to start exercising 5 minutes a day, right? And gradually, you're going to help them to do more. But everything is gradual. They're not going to sense it. Otherwise, they're going to be like, it's just going to be too difficult for them, and they're going to fail, and they're like, oh man, you know what? I knew it. Everybody told me I'm such a loser. I cannot do this, right? So one thing that I definitely want to mention to people who are watching this, I know, hey, whatever reason, okay, you know what? Stop blaming yourself. You have debt, whatever it is. Make sure you communicate with your lender or creditor that, because I know a lot of credit card companies and people are deferring their mortgages, which is the last resort. Okay, is the last resort. And it's good that a lot of organizations are being accommodating and you're helping out. Now, you need to have a communication with your lender if you want to defer your minimum payment or monthly payment or whatever. Okay, if you ask me, you shouldn't have any debt anyways. But okay, we are not playing a blame game here, guys. Okay, so you got debt. Okay, fine. Make sure, I cannot emphasize enough, because I talk to some people and I'm like, okay, everybody should understand, what's going on. I'm just not going to pay. What are they going to do? Nobody's paying. Oh, hey, these kind of things is not going to work. Okay, just have a simple communication with your lender. And I've heard like, credit card companies have like a messaging service that you can ask them to, I don't know, lower their interest rate or whatever. There are a lot of things that you do, but you need to communicate. You shouldn't assume that they have to be accommodating to you. Okay. Now with the debts, because I get this question all the time. Okay, do I save money in a saving account or pay off my debt? Mathematically, is very unlikely that the debt or credit that you have has lower interest rate than your savings. Is very, very unlikely, right? If we are talking about savings account, we are talking about 0.5%, 1%, 2%, whatever it is. We're talking about like, credit cards, we're talking about 19%, 20% interest rate. So mathematically, you're paying a lot of interest to those, lenders and credit card companies. Having money sitting in a savings account makes no sense if you have a credit card debt of, 20%. Okay. Now, if it's a loan, for example, because here's the thing. For example, a student loan. If you paid off, you cannot take it back, right? Revolving credit, for example, line of credit, okay, you paid down, you can borrow it against it again. That's the easiest one to do. Same as credit card. Okay, pay down that, balance of the, credit card or line of credit. Worst case scenario, right? Worst case scenario, okay, you can use that, line of credit again. But in the meanwhile, you're not paying interest on the outstanding balance, right? So I cannot emphasize enough, and I'm going to give you a very, very simple solution for people for budgeting. As old school as it sounds, have a budget for your discretionary expenses. You know what? You cannot, somebody whose take home is $5,000 a month cannot spend like somebody whose take home is $20,000 a month, right? And let's not forget something. If you make $20,000 and you spend 21,000, you're going in debt $1,000 a month. If you're making $4,000 a month and spending $5,000 a month, you're in the exact same position as the other guy who's making $20,000 but is spending 21,000. Both of you are going to debt $1,000 a month. It's such a cliche. We've all heard it, Maher. I see it in my clients' life all the time, because majority of my clients, they make six-figure incomes, but guess what? They spend more too. They got bigger mortgages. They wanna drive nicer cars. But guys, nothing wrong with any of those, as long as you can comfortably afford it.
I really appreciate. What you've been mentioning. I mean, this is a scenario that, as you said, nobody saw coming. And what the problem that it caused is it magnified almost instantly the problem in society with our financial situation. I appreciate what you're talking about, budgets, living. As a family, you have to, budget as if you're a company, as I always say.
Absolutely.
Because if you don't know, like what's coming in, what's coming out, how much, your budget is for groceries a month, how much, your gas budget is, how much, like you said, discretionary, or, going to the movies or out for dinner or something like that, money's going to be coming in, but more money is going to be going out, and that's going to snowball. And what happened, in this situation, obviously with coronavirus, people found themselves, short on cash.
Yes.
And the additional problem, as you mentioned, is what do you do next when you're short on cash? You have to take on more debt.
Yes.
And you add to that additional debt that you've already had. And now when we come out of this situation, it's going to be such an unfortunate time because people are going to find themselves almost empty on cash, any cash reserves, any emergency fund whatsoever. And also the debt load is going to be a lot more. You know, sure, interest rates are down, but there's still that monthly cost, as I call it, to service the debt. You know, just like any government carrying debt, you have to pay that monthly cost to service it. And that's going to cause a lot of problems. I mean, we want to ensure that when we get out of this situation, like you said, we need to be a lot smarter with our money. We need to, you know, pay debit, pay cash more often. There's no need to put on the credit card. If we have the cash, pay the cash. And because it's like anything. Over a while, you know, you buy something for $500 and it's only a, 2%, minimum payment, for example.
Yes.
Or whatnot. You know, okay, so you put a few bucks on their minimum payment. You think everything's great. Next month, you still got that 500 plus additional interest. And then you make more purchases. And after a while, you're $1,000, $1,500, $2,000. And then, because this debt load has become so great, the income doesn't match how much, you can put towards servicing the debt. So I've dealt with this in the past myself. All of a sudden, you find your debt load so big that you're just taking from one credit card or line of credit to pay off another one. And that's, once you get into that snowball, that becomes very hard to get out of. And I really want to, try to promote more of a debt-free type of lifestyle, because not only is it stressing you physically by you having to work more or trying to struggle to support your family, the mental load is absolutely unexplainable. I mean, it's the mental stress of having to carry debt load is after a while, it becomes unbearable, unfortunately. So with this podcast episode today, I definitely appreciate everything that you've been saying, ALIREZA, and I want to obviously try to help people as much as possible as well with, letting them know that whatever's happened in the past has happened, but now we can right the ship,
Absolutely.
and we can go forward. I know you mentioned your book. I'd love to actually jump into learning more about this.
Sure.
I've taken a chance to take a look at it. Why don't you tell us more about what the book's about?
Sure.
What made you write the book? What was sort of the intention behind it, and a little bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. I've been writing for over 20 years now, and I'm published in 4 countries: Iran, Canada, England, and US. So majority of my work, all of my work when I started, I was writing and translating fitness and martial arts articles back in Iran, and I did the same I wrote for a UK publication, and I've written a lot of articles here in Canada, and I've written for a publication in US as well. And so I've written almost 200 articles about fitness and martial arts. And so I've always had this passion for writing, and book is such a great legacy, I would say, that is gonna be there. It's something you have created. So but hey, there are tons of books about personal finances out there. So I was like, okay, how am I gonna make my book different? And I only have 2 passions in life, and I only know 2 things: is personal finance and martial arts. I don't know anything else. So I was, okay, why don't I combine my two passions and divide the chapters of the book, like color belts of martial arts, and, start from the basics, from the white belt, and go all the way to black belts, to talking about each chapter. I'm going to talk about, a certain topic. And it was a risky thing, to be quite honest, risky thing to do, to be quite honest, because, easily some people would be like, okay, martial arts and personal finance, they got nothing to do with each other. What a stupid idea, right? But it was received really well. I'm so glad, and I'm so, actually just yesterday I was talking to my wife that I'm so glad I wrote this book. Is one of the things I'm happy I've done, and I'm working on the new edition, actually, by the way. And then a friend of mine, Iman, he started doing, teaching people how to do online courses. So I took his very first online course, but at the time I was with Investors Group, so everything you wanted to do, it had to go through their channel, which I respect and appreciate, and that's one of the reasons I left on my own. So I had this idea for quite a while, and I just didn't know how to do it. The logistics part was just, I was thinking about it, how to present it, how to put the course together. Then this coronavirus, COVID-19 situation happened, and I was, okay, you know what, man, this is the time I have to do this. People, here's the thing, it's just human nature, Maher. When people are making money and they're doing fine, they don't think about money management that much, right? And here is the time that, there is not much of a face-to-face interaction, or there is less face-to-face interaction. A lot of people, by necessity, they are becoming more familiar with Zoom and online meeting and all that stuff. And a lot of people are on social media, and they have been for many, many years. So I was, okay, stop overthinking this. My course is not going to be perfect, okay, for the first time. It is what it is. So I'm just going to start with a few people, which I'm so glad in 2 days I signed up 15 people, right? Which they're all like, successful business owners. Interestingly, many of them in fitness industry. Very successful, like, personal training studio owners and personal trainers. So I was, okay, I'm going to get some experience because I've done tons of seminars, and I've worked with a lot of people, and I've written a book and this and that, but I've never done an online course. I've never taught an online course. So I would take this as an experience and basically, as the expression says, get my hands wet. And, I'm so happy that I've started doing this, and I'm just going to make changes and I'm going to improve it. And that's how things go, right? This is what I always say. We're not getting any younger, man. We're not getting any younger. So let's if we can do something, let's do it now.
I think one of the things that resonated with me with what you said earlier in the episode was, I feel that to achieve true success, you really do have to have your back up against the wall.
True.
And when you have stuff easy, you don't, or handed to, for example, you don't have that desire or that necessity to work as hard to achieve the level of success that you can achieve. But I found, with many of my struggles, I found that when my back was up against the wall, I felt I performed at a much higher level, because you really had to scrape for everything and really claw your way out. It's like, when you fall in a well, you got to fight your way out. And I really appreciate you coming on the Nolimitspreneur Podcast today and sharing a ton of this valuable personal finance information, and obviously, your story. And I really hope a lot of people did get a lot of value from this. And of course, I definitely recommend people checking out your book, your upcoming course, and tell us how someone can, if they want to learn more about you, get in touch with you, work with you. What are some ways they can pick up your content, get in touch with you, and learn more about you?
Absolutely. Meyer, I have my phone on me like all the time. Okay. So people can call me 604-999-1356 is my direct phone number. And my website address for my company is called westlifefinancial.ca. That's the website address. And my personal coaching website address is financialsensei.ca and .com, either one. And sensei in Japanese, by the way, I just have to mention it. Sensei in Japanese means instructor or teacher. That's all it means. It doesn't mean guru. It doesn't mean master. It doesn't mean grandmaster. It doesn't mean any of that. So it's just teacher or instructor. So would be more than happy to see how I can help people. And hopefully, like many other people can feel that they can trust me, and I would be able to help them. And I've gone through financial hardship myself, so I've been there, man. Like I'm nobody to judge, and all I want to do is to help people who I can connect with. And a lot of people are like, I don't own a mansion, or I don't drive a super luxury car, or like some people I don't take pictures with them. But I'm so proud to say, man, I've had clients who have been with me for 10, 11 years now. And they're like, okay, I think about money, I call you. Because I know if you don't do it yourself, somebody who does. These are the things I'm proud of, not the, certificates on my wall or the title of whatever it was in, back in the, other companies and all that. I've been very proud to be a trusted advisor for so many people for so many years. So, and again, westlifefinancial.ca and financialsensei.ca. And my phone number is 604-999-1356. And I'm assuming my name is going to be mentioned on, some of your posts. I'm on LinkedIn, very active. I'm on Facebook, very active, mostly on LinkedIn and Facebook. So if people want to, connect with me, I'll be more than happy to help.
ALIREZA, FADAIE, thank you so much again for coming on the Nolimitspreneur Podcast. I really appreciate your time. I wish you all the best going forward. Please stay safe during these difficult times, and I wish you and your family the best going forward.
Thank you so much, brother. I've been following your great work for so long. I've been a big fan, and I really appreciate this opportunity that you gave me today.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your support as well, and it's been great to, our friendship developing over the last few years. And I really thank you again for coming on and sharing your amazing knowledge with everyone today.
Thank you.
So thank you so much again to my guest, ALIREZA FADAIE, for jumping on the Nolimitspreneur Podcast episode. I hope you got a ton of value. If you did, definitely please subscribe to the podcast, leave a review, and share it with somebody that you think, family or friend, that would be getting some benefit out of today's podcast episode. And definitely come back for the next one. I've got amazing content coming out for you guys on personal development, personal finance, mindset, confidence, productivity, time management, habits, and goals. I want to give you all the tools, the knowledge, the skills, so you can live the best life possible, so you can do the best and provide the most for your family, so you can have the biggest, most thriving business possible. And I really appreciate your support. Join the Success Nation. Follow me on social media. And I definitely look forward to sharing more guests in the upcoming episodes. I'm going to be sharing some more episodes talking to you about my stories, my struggles, my wins, to be able to provide you with more information that can benefit you and help you with your training. Listen, if you want to achieve success in this life, no matter what that success looks like to you, it all starts from the inside. Once you work on yourself from the inside, you'll be able to better your life and your business from the outside. So thank you again for tuning in. My name, once again, is Maher Abyad. You've been locked on to another amazing episode of the Nolimitspreneur Podcast. I'll catch you in the next episode.
You've been listening to another quality episode of the Nolimitspreneur Podcast with your host, Maher Abyad. Want to continue to master your mindset? Download the 7 self-limiting beliefs that are stealing your success away guide for free right now at NoLimitsMindset.com.